What's up, guys? It's your boy, BroBiscuits. The war between the land and the sea is over. And you know what? It was fine. At least it was only 5 episodes. I feel like if I spent maybe 5 seasons and 9 years on this show, I'd be kind of upset by a bad finale. But it was fun to see the Doctor Who universe handle a problem like this without the Doctor, right? That's the big appeal of a spin-off like this, is to see what the universe does when the Doctor's not around. What would happen if the Doctor actually was here? There are 5 episodes, so we're going to rank them by episode, which Doctor would be most effective. The first episode's mostly like a mystery and then becomes political. The second episode is entirely a political drama. The third episode has some thriller adventure elements that I really like. The fourth episode is preoccupied with the romance almost entirely. And the fifth episode has to do with the big dead. The big G word that I'm not going to say on YouTube, just in case. Well, let's start with the first Doctor. I think the first Doctor would be good at the political drama stuff. I'm thinking of the Keys of Marinus in particular, where Ian's on trial and the first Doctor has to defend him. The second Doctor, the best part of episode 3 of the show for me is when Barclay is in the tank sinking down to the bottom of the ocean and has to calm everyone down. Everyone's just tense, and it's great. And I think that would be a massive challenge for the second Doctor to have to deal with that. I think the closest we get to that is him comforting Victoria in Tomb of the Cybermen, and that's one of his best moments ever. So yeah, more of that, please. That'd be great. The third Doctor. I think the third Doctor should go in episode 5. I'm actually on the third Doctor in my watch through of Classic Who. The Silurians ends with the Doctor going back to unit, and then the Brigadier makes the decision to just have all the Silurians killed, and it's the big dead. We see how the third Doctor is really upset by this, and then the episode just ends. I think leaving the third Doctor to deal with this again and having him sit here and to deal with it in a more modern way would be a really interesting thing to do with this Doctor. Man, the fourth Doctor can kind of do everything, can't he? Except I don't see him doing the romance anytime soon. I'm going to put him in number 1. I think he'd be really good for the mystery angle here. Tell me where I'm wrong, Where do you think these Doctors should go if they had to be in one of these episodes? Which episodes are they best suited for? Doesn't the fifth Doctor have his own The Big Dead moment with the Silurians and the Sea Devils in the Warriors of the Deep? I'm asking. I don't know. Can't be in episode 4. No hanky-panky in the TARDIS. I think the fifth Doctor would be best in the thriller episode. From what I've gathered of what I've seen of the fifth Doctor, he talks a lot and he second-guesses himself a lot. So I think putting him in this episode, again, in a room full of people that he has to keep calm, and there's nowhere to go or nothing to do to solve it, is really interesting. The sixth Doctor! The political drama, obviously. Trial of a Time Lord. Dude has some experience.
What isn't completely uncharacteristic is this resort to excuses and subterfuge.
The seventh Doctor? I want the seventh Doctor in episode 5, because I feel like he's going to already have a plan to defeat the corrupt politicians before it even happens. He's not going to be able to stop it, but he's going to have a response. All right, that is all the classic Who Doctors. Now we're moving over to the Wilderness era. We're also going to go over some of the short-lived and gimmick Doctors. And we're going to go over some spin-offs while we're here. The 8th Doctor! I think the third episode is the closest thing to a Big Finish story. The Shalka Doctor! I've not watched Scream of the Shalka, but I know it's crazy. Let's have him deal with the political drama. That'd be fun. Hell yeah. The War Doctor! It's war. He deals with this stuff all the time. He feels like he'd be great for this story. I want to see him absolutely crash out because of the Big Dead. We're going to go ahead and deal with the Fugitive Doctor here. Because she's always on the run from Cosmo and the Time Lords and Division and all that, she's always hopping in, dealing with the problem, and then leaving really fast. And yeah, other Doctors do that too, but she kind of has more of an urgency to her. So I think forcing her to stay in one spot and deal with the political drama would actually be really interesting for her. Dr. House. Wait, isn't this the guy from The Doctor's Wife? I think we should put him in The Big Dead in the episode 5 because they kill all the dogs in that one, and something about this guy makes me think he doesn't like dogs. Speaking of dogs, Canine and Company is the only Classic Who spinoff. I think this would go best with the mystery element in the first episode, so I'm going to leave him right there. And he's with the fourth Doctor, look at The Ninth Doctor. If we put the Ninth Doctor in episode 2, we'd basically get the 12th Doctor's Zygon speech in the Zygon inversion, but for like a whole episode, and that'd be freaking awesome. The 10th Doctor! He's going in the romance, obviously. It's the Casanova Doctor. Kisses everybody. The Meta-Crisis Doctor. Doesn't he commit the Big Dead to the Daleks in Journey's End? You know, like his one episode? The 11th Doctor. Okay, do we have any, like, political drama episodes with the 11th Doctor? I don't think we do. He's always running around flapping his hands about. We see him get angry a lot over lots of death. And he does kiss people a lot. Whoa. I think episode 2 and 3 are our best bet here. Episode 2 would be putting him in an interesting situation for the 11th Doctor where he's forced to stay in one place and talk it out, which he doesn't do a ton. But episode 3, similarly, he can't run around and sway a sonic screwdriver. He just has to stay in a room that's sinking to the bottom of the ocean that could explode at any minute and calm people down. Chad Paldy, the 12th Doctor. You know what? I'm changing my mind. I'm moving the 11th Doctor up to episode 2 for the political drama, and I'm moving Chad Paldy, the 12th Doctor, into the 3rd episode to sit in the tank and sink to the bottom of the ocean and calm people down. Especially series 8 and 9 Capaldi, he's not good at that. He's not good at empathizing with people, which you kind of have to do in this situation. Speaking of doctors who struggle with empathy, I like the 13th Doctor. She would be awful at the political drama. For television, that works great. Narratively, I don't know how that's going to go. All those long, slow scenes of Barclay and Salt talking back and forth and people debating on what he should say and it's all tense and it's actually really good. Imagine that with 13. I would love to see what Jodie Whittaker would do if she was given a scene like that, written to handle it seriously instead of constantly tripping over herself with jokes. I don't trust the Chibnall era to deal with the Big Dead. The Master Doctor! He's going in episode 5 because it's the Master as the Doctor, and he would 100% cause the Big Dead. Before we get into the Disney era, we're going to go over some spin-offs and some almost spin-offs. Jack Harkness! Now, fun fact, I believe there was a radio, audio drama story that I listened to where Torchwood actually goes to the bottom of the sea in a sub. It was a fun enough story. I just don't believe that ragtag pulled together team has the qualifications and ability to pilot a sub. The mystery element here makes the most sense. Sarah Jane Smith having the Big Dead, heck, even having the dogs, I feel like is too dark for her show. That wouldn't work. I think we're going to put her in the mystery political angle too. She's a reporter. She investigates stuff all the time. The mystery stuff is right up her alley. Both of these guys are clear Doctor alternatives. They serve the role of the Doctor for their respective spin-offs. Class does not have a character like this, but there are two characters that sort of fill that role together. The first is Charlie. Putting Charlie in a room where he has to calm people down is basically the plot of episode 6 of Class, and we've seen that from him before. Man, there's a lot of talk about the Big Dead in Class, because his people were killed by the Shadowkin. You know, he's not human, but he's kind of partial to humanity. Seeing humanity commit the Big Dead would actually be really interesting for his character, I think. Miss Quill, on the other hand, enemies to lovers romance, that is also basically the plot of episode 7 of Class.
Don't worry about it, the last person I kissed was a robot.
It could be interesting to see her deal with the Big Dead. You know, she's not loyal to humanity like Charlie is. But I think it'd be more interesting to throw him in a room with a bunch of scared people and force her to try to calm everyone down, because she'd be terrible at that. That's all the spinoffs, right? Wrong. The Australian Canine Show. I'm going to put him in the romance, specifically because at the beginning of the episode, when the explosion happens, Salt has to grab Barclay and, kiss him or whatever to save his life and pull him to the surface. Canine could just fly. He's got a huge advantage there. Okay, now we're going to get into some potential spin-offs. Way back in the Second Doctor's era, Evil of the Daleks were written out of the show. They were, quote-unquote, the last we will see of the Daleks. They're all dead now. Because Terry Nation wanted to shop around the idea of a Daleks-centered spinoff. If we were to have a Dalek-centered spinoff, I think our best potential candidate is Rusty. from Into the Dalek. Imagine all those slow, drawn-out, tense political drama scenes with a Dalek. I cannot drink this. That'd be dope. I would love that. Another potential spinoff that a lot of people wanted was the River Song spinoff. I think the thriller stuff is really up her alley. The incredibly over-sexualized and flanderized version of River Song in Let's Kill Hitler, she'd go in the romance stuff. Everything's just super sexual with her writing in this episode, and I hate it. The Paternoster Gang! That's another spinoff that everyone kind of wanted, sort of. Now, canonically, the Sherlock Holmes mysteries are inspired by Madame Vastra, so I guess we're going to have to put them in mystery. But Vastra is a Silurian. Having her experience the Big Dead in episode 5 could be really interesting. It'd be more interesting than, the actual show made it, but I think we're going to leave them in episode 1. A spinoff that I really want is a King James spinoff. I want 6 episodes of this heckin' guy just wandering around England, running into aliens, assuming they're demons or witches or whatever, stumbling his way into defeating them, declaring he has vanquished Satan, and then wandering off having learned nothing. I think we're going to throw him in the mystery as well. His sidekick Alfonso, he's in the thriller episode. Dude is an adventure master. Did you see him go after the Morax? Dude knows what he's doing. We're officially in the Disney era. 14th Doctor. I think the 14th Doctor would be really good in episode 5, dealing with the fallout of the Big Dead. I'm thinking of his tirade in The Giggle about how stupid humanity is. Council of Geeks points this out. We don't really get anything like that from the 10th Doctor. He's usually just all yuppie-guppy about humanity. 14 is grumpy about humanity sometimes, and I think that would work really well in The Big Dead. I think that was one of the things that made 14 feel pretty different from 10, and I want to see more of it. And finally, the 15th Doctor. Dude, it's so bizarre to me that this show, The War Between the Land and the Sea, came out in his era, because I can't imagine this guy in this show at all. We've already seen him deal with the Big Dead a bit in Interstellar Song Contest. He would just start throwing hard light holograms and torturing people. I've been really hyping up the idea of locking a doctor into one location and having him calm people down, but unfortunately, that's like a lot of 15's episodes. So many of these episodes take place in like one expensive set location. I think, similar to the 13th Doctor, get a solid writer in here and force him to deal with the political drama. I think that'd be something that we've never seen from 15, and I think it would be really interesting. Okay, this is the definitive list, you guys. What do you guys think? Am I incredibly wrong somewhere? If I am, let me know. Tell me what you think. And tell me what you think of the show. The War Between the Land and the Sea. What did you guys think of it? Thanks for watching the video. I had a good time making it. Hope you had a good time watching it. Bye-bye.